Welcome everyone to this best of 3 showdown between myself and Exploding Hamster. So this is game 1 here in the series that did take place in the Quarantine Content Creators Tournament, which is hosted by Samurai Warrior. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. The first match here in the series was Chaos vs. Dwarf. So as far as my factions go, I did pick Dwarves. For the bans, I'm pretty sure it was Skaven as well as Beastmen, and he came in with Chaos, which of course has a lot of very cost-effective Great Weapon Infantry, has Chariots, it has all the typical things that are very good against Dawi. Granted, I think Dwarves actually have a decent matchup here. So it is going to be the first game in the best of 3 series. Normally I do best of 3s all as one video. However, I think you guys enjoy bite-sized content a little bit more, having something be like 10 or 20 minutes. So I'm going to be casting all the games from this series as separate videos, but they'll come one after the other. So you guys will get the full picture, the full story, and you'll be able to see how this goes. So the winner of this best of 3 between myself and Hamster will be advancing to the grand finals. I was able to edge out a victory over Job Plays, a very close series. Of course, you guys saw that go up probably a couple days ago. And now we're in the second round, which is myself against Exploding Hamster. Here in game 1, it's going to be the White Dwarf facing off against the Ever Chosen. So certainly very excited for this. Now, as far as my build goes, it is going to be a combination of miners. It looks like some dwarf warriors with great weapons as well. So against Chaos, it's pretty tough to match their troop quality. Longbeards can put up a good fight against Chaos warriors, but in general, I like to use miners, a couple blasting charges against marauders, secondary line of dwarf warriors. And if they get through all of that, then in the back, of course, you have Longbeards with great weapons and a big old firing line. So we do have one cannon. I had a feeling because Exploding Hamster got to pick the map. This tournament has an interesting pick and ban system where basically somebody picks the map and the other player then picks the faction. Or they pick the map and then a faction, I think. I can't quite remember, but he picked the map. So in this case, I was quite happy. It's a pretty good dwarf map. Granted, I figured based on the map, he was going to be using some artillery treachery here. So I brought a single cannon. So the cannon is going to be trying to deal with the hell cannons, which he brought 2 of. And yeah, it's going to be hard. So 4 Thunder is here, White Dwarf, 2 Slayers in the back, one of which is Dragonback Slayers, and then Longbeards. And that's pretty much it. So for Exploding Hamster, a nice little ambush here. He's got 2 groups of Marauder Horsemen to harass my back line, and it's a really good play because a lot of Dwarf players do defend their backline with Slayers, which take a lot of damage from the standard Marauder Horsemen. For the rest of his army, he's just trying to pull me apart, really. He's got Chaos Marauders here, he's got Archon, the Ever Chosen, double Hell Cannon here. He does also have Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes to counter Gyrocopters, as well as other types of attacks that can be coming in from the more mobile Dwarf units. And on the far side, this is his real breadwinners. He's got Chaos Warriors with great weapons, which of course are very solid against Dwarves, and a Chariot. So that's it. So let's see if the Dawi can do this, or if the foul forces of Archon, the Ever Chosen, will emerge in this best of 3 showdown. So the Hell Cannons are shooting in, getting a little bit of damage here against the Dwarven Thunders, as well as my Dwarf Warriors here. So I do start moving around, trying to make it a little bit tougher for him. And the cannons are now shooting back here against the Hell Cannon, so I'm really hoping that my Dwarf Cannon can finish that bad boy off. In the meantime, though, Hell Cannon shots still screaming in and doing good damage, and I also had no idea that he was back here. A very clever ambush, and I do have some troops in the back in reserve. You can see here I have Thunders, I have some Dwarf Warriors, but if he swarms from both sides, it's going to be very tough to stop that. So the Hell Cannon shooting in once more, and of course, you know, a lot of Dwarf players would sit and try and endure this, but I really don't think that's the right way to play. You got to push forward, you got to put some pressure on Chaos and try and close the gap between the Hell Cannons, because otherwise, you know, they'll just pound you the whole time. But if they do pound you the whole time, it's not the end of the game, but you need to put some pressure on them so they have to attack with other stuff, therefore letting your forces fight. So the Hell Cannon here, taking some damage off my Thunderers. In the back, you can see the ambush is about to be sprung. The Marauder Horsemen, they just appeared, and I was like, oh my god, I only have my Dwarf Warriors back here. I'm really out of position. This is going to be quite scary. So what we do in this case, we will be grabbing 2 of our gun units, turning around, trying to shoot at these Marauder Horsemen. But in the meantime, Hamster with a pretty masterclass ambush. Marauder Horsemen coming around here, Chariots coming over here. And I'm really kind of focused in the center of the map. So if you look here, Archon does overextend a little bit, takes a little bit of a fire to the face. Looks like he is going to be using a Flamestorm, trying to catch my giant Slayers out of position. Might get a couple of those guys. Does some decent damage, but for the most part, Archon does take some fire trade there. And now his Horsemen are going to be coming in. Dwarven Cannon Crews are somewhat durable, and the Dwarf Warriors were able to get back there and kind of blunt the charge a little bit, so it isn't as bad as it could have been. And the other 2 groups of Thunders are basically going to be getting some, not free value, but they'll get some damage here on the Marauder Horsemen. Maybe they're breaking them off the map and buying you some time. Hell Cannon's still shooting. One of them, I think, is still barely online, just holding on. And here you can see the Marauder Horsemen and throwing axes are now in good shape, and I don't have enough back here to really defend. He basically blocked me with the Marauder Horsemen, halting my retreat back here to come defend this. So these Dwarf Warriors are basically playing hot potato, just bouncing back and forth and trying to stop the Marauder Horsemen. But they're doing a good job, and honestly, I haven't taken too much damage. Now the Chariots are going to be screaming in from this side, so the Dwarven guns are going to be lining up their shots here, turning about face, fire, reload, fire, and here they come into the Chaos Chariots, but the Chariots are going to scream in as another Flamestorm goes after my Slayers, so he's probably had some success against Slayers in the past with that. And we get some good damage here. Also, Gromby will be using a Flash Bomb to try and slow this beast down, and now it has 15 speed, so that's going to give me a much more manageable position to try and shoot this bad boy and really pump its brakes. Here you can see the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are surging forward. These guys are going to be trying to just push them back. Losing a lot of models here on the cannon, unfortunately, but I still do have all 3 cannons, which is good. Now, as far as the Hell Cannons go, we did kill one. So the Dwarf Cannon was able to trade there, being relatively effective, which is ultimately a big win. The cannon costs 800 against the, I think, 11 or 1200 for the Hell Cannon. So here we have a bit of a frontal fight going on. It's looking a little bit scary. Giant Slayers are forced into combat against Marauders, which is really bad for me. And some of the Miners, which I had in the Vanguard, are overrun here by Chaos Warriors and Chaos Marauders. And now I'm going to have to fall back into a bit of a tactical retreat. At this point in the game, I was kind of looking at his army. I was like, man, he's got a lot of good infantry. I need to fall back. I need to stabilize my cannon if I can, and then just wait out the ammo on that other Hell Cannon. There's no way I'm going to get that, really, is kind of how I was feeling right now. Anyways, the guns are going to be doing some scooting and shooting, going after the Chaos Warriors with great weapons and some of these advancing elite troops. We will also be sending in the Dwarf Warriors to try to chip down Chaos as they advance. They still have a very powerful combat character in Archon, the Ever-Chosen, so very, very nervous about this engagement. Archon's a very powerful duelist. Granted, Gromby can certainly go fisticuffs, especially since Archon does do magic damage. It makes it a little bit more manageable, but he still has great AP, and his charge bonus is quite insane. In the back, though, you can see here my cannon crew is being harried and chased here by Marauder Horsemen. However, I got some Dwarf Warriors on the job, and also two groups of the Dwarven Thunders are able to push them off, which will buy some time for my cannon to rally and potentially come back. So I think it most certainly will come back. Archon is pushed in. He's now going after some of the Thunderers here, trying to shut down the gunfire on himself. He does have a bronze shield, no silver shield. When he is on foot, I believe he does have a silver shield. And now the Dragonback Slayers, the brave heroes of the Dwarven Empire, shall be surging forward and going after Archon the Ever-Chosen, hopefully able to lock him down. We will see in just a moment. So yeah, just trying to fall back. The Chaos Warriors with great weapons vastly outclass my standard Dwarf Warriors. My Miners are collapsing on the flank, and there is also a Chariot threat here in the back. I believe it's over here lurking, so he's probably waiting to kind of strike in here, get on my cannon, and try and mitigate some of the firepower I'm re-stabilizing here. So this cannon is coming back online. It will be jumping here, which is going to be really big. It's going to kind of put a lot of pressure on him. Otherwise, without the cannon, he could play a more tactical game, use his mobility, he could use his horsemen. But with the cannon online, it's really going to force him to push in, which is what the Dwarves want. So here the Thunders are able to shoot another Flamestorm coming down once again, doing some big fat damage actually. Certainly not bad. It does also break those guys. Oh, that's pretty good right there. And Archon the Ever-Chosen pushing in once again, just trying to shut down the gun line, basically trying to solo my army here. But the Dragonback Slayer's hot on his tail, putting his speed down. I think, no, it looks like they don't have the power of the Dragonback on him quite yet. But the bounce power is relatively even, a little bit Dwarf favored with some of the recent plays and the cannon coming back. And now you can see the dreaded Gorby's Chariot is coming back in. Fire, reload, fire. The cannon reloads, takes out a Chariot, and the Dwarven guns are singing into the hide here of the Gorby's Chariot. And Gromby's also trying to get in there for a flash bomb. So I believe we get the flash bomb here in a second. I can't quite remember. Or actually, no, the Gorby's Chariot just breaks to the fire. So the Dwarven guns doing very good work. And for the first time in the game, we do pull ahead on the bounce of power ever so slightly, but there's still a massive threat of chaos on the battlefield. You can see my infantry lines are very tattered. I have Dwarf Warriors here. Thankfully, I have a full health group of Longbeards, which are active, so they haven't really been fighting much. They're going to be a huge boon here against the Chaos Warriors. So the Dwarven guns doing a little bit of a classic Dwarven kite, getting that juicy crossfire wherever I can here into the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And the Miners are basically pulling back, but in a moment they are going to have to engage and take that initial beating. But we have Gromby here, we have the Longbeard, so going to be pulling back the gun line, sending in the elite troops, and just trying to halt the advance of Chaos. So Marauder Horsemen pushing in, and you can see the Dragonback Slayers are going to be rushing in as well with their anti-large, and their slowing attacks should be quite punishing here against the Marauder Horsemen, which are now breaking. In the meantime, Archon doing a very good job just kind of cleaning up the flanks. Up to 65 kills, but he was able to break some gunline units. But he now knows he needs to get back here and really shut down these pieces. Also, as far as this fight goes, Longbeards, like I said, are only winded. These Chaos Warriors are very tired, so my Longbeards have a couple advantages as far as being healthier and also having a little bit better vigor here in the late game. So we're going to see if they're going to be able to karate chop these guys down. I really hope so. So Chaos Warriors getting a little bit beat up. You can see here the Marauder Horsemen are pushing in as well. Smoke Bomb is going to be going down to lower their charge speed and their regular speed and their charge speed and their melee defense, making it a little bit easier to clean those guys up. But Archon's basically just riding back and forth and methodically picking off my gun units, because without my guns, I'm forced to fight this massive incoming horde here of Chaos Warriors and melee, which, is probably possible considering I do have Gromby and Dragonback Slayers and a relatively healthy group of Longbeards, which only lost like 2 or 3 models in that combat. Man, heroes of the old world indeed. But the cannon shooting, going after Archon here, I believe I only have enough dwarves to man 2 cannons. Because even if you have a lot of cannons, they're full capacity, you have to have the crew to man each cannon. So I don't have enough to quite get that last one for some reason. I always thought that you could like put one dwarf over there and he would handle it, but hard to say. So at this point, Hamster on the ropes, he's going to be coming around with Archon, trying to circle around the back, maybe shut down the cannon to buy a little bit of time for the Chaos Warriors, which certainly would be quite powerful. And here the Chaos Warriors will be rushing up the hill. This is the final battle here, more or less. He's got 2 groups of Chaos Warriors, 3 actually. Some of them are Marauders. And here comes the countercharge of the Dwarves, the Longbeards singing their hymns, charging in shoulder to shoulder with the White Dwarf. So Grombrindle here is certainly going to be quite strong. He's got good AP value, should be able to chop some of these heretics and do well for himself, but Hamster with some really good jukes. Basically, I had my Thunders in too long of a spaghetti line. They weren't turning fast enough, and you can see here Archon is basically abusing that fact and running circles around my army, which is wasting my gunfire. I should have been shooting at other things, so we finish off some Chaos Warriors, which was a mistake there. And yeah, we're just trying to get Archon now. So here the White Dwarf still grinding it out. Chaos Warriors getting very beaten up. These Longbeards down to 53 models. But man, really proud of these guys. These guys have really been the MVPs. 63 kills on those guys, 64, 65. Archon is going to be charging in, but now the Dwarven guns have lined up their sights here, and they should be able to put him down relatively quickly. Now, I'm also a big fan of using Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes, but in the Chaos matchup, I prefer to have the Thunders because they're more effective against the actual infantry, whereas the Iron Drakes are more specific against monsters and chariots. But if they go with like a very wide build like this, using a bunch of cheap AP infantry, I feel like the Iron Drakes aren't going to be as effective. Granted, they can goon Archon really quickly compared to the guns. So Grombrindle has no fear, has been popped. The last of the heretics are smashed upon the cold earth. And you can see here these Chaos Warriors are going to be charging in, but only to meet their doom as the White Dwarf descends on Archon, the Everchosen, canceling the apocalypse, canceling the end times, and Archon will break. And that's going to be game one in our series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. The Chaos Dwarves rallying there, but of course not wanting to face their superior cousins here. That will be jumping out of the game. So that was game one in our best of three. Of course, there is going to be another match, perhaps two, depending on the circumstances. We'll see how game two goes. But man, Hamster played a great game. His initial ambush was really insane. And just flanking from all the different directions, it was really stressful, really micro-intensive. And yeah, you guys are certainly in for a treat. This series was a lot of fun. So game one, this is my tried and true Dwarven build. I've had pretty good success against Chaos with it, across the board against Chaos players of all different skill levels and different builds. And yeah, of course, it can be defeated, it can lose, but for the most part, it's consistent. I like it. And if they do go with more chariots, having the extra Giant Slayers does help out quite a bit. Plus, Giant Slayers also have good AP, so they can like bang on Chosen and Chaos Warriors and things like that. So yeah, and Hamster's build was good. It was a very map-dependent build for sure. The Hell Cannons on a situation on a map like that where they have a natural gully to protect them is very good. But I was able to get one cannon to trade, and then I basically just had to endure the other one, which was certainly doable. But yeah, crazy good game. Very well played to Exploding Hamster. If you guys haven't seen his YouTube channel, he's a German content creator and does excellent content. So yeah, make sure to check him out if you guys, of course, speak German, or if you just want to, learn some German, go hang out. He's a great guy, great opponent. So guys, now we will be back with game two, perhaps later tonight, perhaps tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. Oh man, such a good series. One of the best series of games I've had in a long time. So stay tuned, guys. All right, game two coming soon. Thanks again to Exploding Hamster, and we'll see you in just a second. Cheers.